Earlier, we discussed how, if a check cannot be honored by the payor's financial institution due to non-sufficient funds, for example, the check will be returned through the clearing to the branch that initially accepted it. This process is also subject to CPA rules. CPA Rule A4, Returned and Redirected Items, outlines the procedures, timeframes, and responsibilities that apply to returns. Whenever a check image is used for the purpose of return, Rule A10 also applies. Rule A4 specifies that in most circumstances, once a check has been received by the drawee, it has 1 business day to decide whether the check will be honored or dishonored. If the check is dishonored, the financial institution must initiate its return through the clearing within the next business day timeframe. What's important to recognize here is that the CPA rules apply to the time the financial institution has to initiate the return, not to the amount of time it takes for the check to be physically returned to the financial institution that accepted the item on deposit. The return journey to the branch that initially accepted it may take a number of days, depending on weather and unpredictable airline schedules. There are some exceptions to the next business day rule. For example, in case of a forged endorsement on the back of the check, the payor's financial institution has 6 years from the date of receipt to initiate the check's return through the clearing. The payor's financial institution may not have a direct relationship with the person who endorsed the check, so it's difficult to verify that the endorsing signature is valid. Consequently, considerable time may be required to uncover a forgery. In the case of material alteration, financial institutions have 90 days to initiate the return of the check. Material alteration means one or more of the elements on the check has been changed, such as the date or the amount, for example, after the check has been issued, but before it is deposited. The return timeframe for a check that was cleared in the wrong currency or where an error was made in the amount encoded on the check is also 90 days. Checks returned for the reason post-dated can be returned up to and including the day prior to the date on the item. We should also mention stale-dated items here. You know what we mean, those checks from Aunt Edna that the kids put in a safe place 5 years ago? Rule A4 considers a check as stale-dated after 6 months, unless it has been certified. Although the check may be returned through the clearing for that reason, there is no obligation to do so, and the payor's financial institution may still accept it as a valid payment item. An institution accepting a check bearing a date passed more than 6 months earlier may choose to contact the payer's FI to confirm whether the check will still be accepted. When an item is returned for the reason stale-dated, the return must be initiated within the next business day timeframe, as discussed in Rule A4, Section 5. It's important to note that the item may not be returned for this reason if the item is a bank draft, money order, or certified item. Federal government items, which we'll discuss further in a moment, do not stale-date. Checks issued by provincial governments may be considered stale after 6 months. Once the next business day timeframe for the return of a stale-dated item has passed, the item can no longer be returned through the clearing, and any further action would need to take place outside of the clearing. A certified check will have the words accepted or certified, or other words to that effect, written or stamped on it by the check writer's financial institution, which has set aside the funds to cover the check in its own internal account. Under the clearing rules, a certified check may be returned for only 3 reasons. The check bears a forged endorsement on the back of the check, the intended payee was not paid, or the check has been altered in a material way subsequent to its certification, such as a change to the name of the payee or the amount.